What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Vitamin D, your daily dose of vitamin D from me, Dan. Today we're going to be talking about why people flake out on dates with you, right? And I got a special guest for you today. His name is Booda. Dude is awesome, and if I had to describe him in one word, I would say the vibe I get from watching all his stuff and interacting with him is he is unapologetically authentic. Okay, that's actually 2 words. Anyway, whatever. He's completely genuine. Okay, and I admire that. Not a lot of people, I think, are 100% genuine. So anyway, Dave's specialty is relationships and intimacy, dating, all that kind of stuff. So listen to what he has to say. He's also the founder of Intimacy Fest and TedxCardiffbytheSea. He's been featured in Psychology Today, The Good Men Project, Elephant, ABC, NBC, National Geographic, Thought Catalog. Anyway, here he is.
Why do people flake on first dates? Well, I think it's because they didn't want to be on the date all that much to begin with. Maybe a little bit, but not a lot more than watching the next episode of Queer Eye on Netflix, which is a fucking awesome show. So the question is, instead of why do people flake on first dates, is why don't they really want to go on a date with that person in that circumstance? And I think the reason is because when we do dating, we don't really put ourselves out there. We don't really show people who we are. We are just the most generic, bland version of ourselves in hopes that somebody else will just approve of us, and then maybe we can go on a date just so we're not so fucking lonely all the time. But we're this generic, bland version of ourselves, so people can't really get excited about it or not excited about it, because what we're afraid of is if we actually show people who we are, then they might reject us, which would actually just save us the trouble of getting flaked on in the first place. Because that person, if once they got to know us, they may just not be a good fit. But how are people going to know if they're a good fit if we don't really show them who we are? Go to any online dating site. Look at how generic people's stuff is. It's crazy. And so if we're not willing to do that because we're afraid of getting rejected, and because we're afraid of getting rejected, we go on blah and bland first dates that it makes sense people would flake on because they're just not that excited to be there.
Hey, that was Booda. Great stuff. If you want to check him out, go to the links below. I've got a social network, and check out Buddhism.com. That's where you can find him on his official website. With all that he said, I want to just add a couple of things to point out. Okay, one, if this is a person that you barely met, okay, keep that in mind, right? They don't know you. They don't know how awesome you are, right? We all know how awesome we are, okay? And have you ever thought to yourself, if they just give me a chance, they'd see how, insert whatever quality you want here, I am, right? It's your job to show them the qualities that you want them to see, okay? People are living their lives just like you and me, okay? They just don't have the time to give everyone they meet a chance to show who they really are, right? Because some people take forever to do that. You have to do that right away from the start, okay? And then lastly, don't take it personally, right? Especially if you met someplace social like the club, okay? Because think about this. They're out with their friends, okay? Having a really good time. Maybe they're drunk, okay? Or high. And maybe hanging out with you at the time was a good idea because they were already in an elevated mood, right? They're already elevated. They're in a good mood. They like hanging out with people. You get swept up in that kind of thing. But after things have had a chance to settle down, okay, maybe they didn't have a good week. That could be a factor. Whatever it is, they might not feel like hanging out with somebody they can barely remember, right? Just don't get worked up over it, okay? And if you're frustrated, just use that as fuel for improvement. All right, that's it for today. Go check out Buddhism.com. Booda on social media, and subscribe to me on YouTube, please. That's all I ask, right? I got to quit my job at Supercuts so I can move on with my life.